Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your boy Stevie Jobber,
And it's your boy Dangerous Duke.
and welcome back to the Dangerous Jobbers podcast, putting wrestling over one podcast at a time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we are here with a special edition today. We're gonna do a list we surprisingly haven't done. We're gonna do 5 for 5 on the best mid-carders of all time. And I'm excited about it. I mean, I realize there's a lot of names that are going to be left off the list.
Yeah.
It's so hard to choose. It would be so much easier to choose the top 5 main eventers, possibly.
Yeah. I feel
I realize
like that's an easier
there's
list.
so many good mid carders, man, and judging by time spans, and it's just
And not only
there's
that, just who technically qualifies as a mid
yes,
Carter? Like, is it
yes.
somebody who's never been a world champion, somebody who's been a world champion once? Like, you kind of got to pick and choose on how to balance it.
So I definitely feel like we could do more than one of these. But for right now, we're gonna do top 5 all time, 5 for 5. So guys, leave your comments. Tell us who we left off the list, who you felt like, um, what a mid Carter is to you, who really qualifies, who do you think, we said that might be higher on the list than we put them.
Hmm.
But this should be a fun one, man. It should be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm interested to see your perspective on what you personify as a mid Carter.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, should we do descriptions first, or should we just dive into it and we'll kind of figure it out as we go?
Um, I say let's just dive right in.
Let's just dive
Let, let,
in. All
let's
right.
just go.
You want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So this is no particular order, but one person that I'm picking who's got to be in the discussion of best mid carders within within the last 20 years, 10 years, whatever you want to call it. But this guy, for me, he's been like a solid guy throughout his whole career, and he doesn't get enough credit for the things he's done.
Hmm.
So for me, I'm including him in this. He's been a world champion before, but it wasn't for that long. It was only one time. And he's been predominantly a mid card champion or a tag champion.
Hmm.
So I'm lumping him in. And I got to go with one of the Mr. Survivor series. I'm going with Dolph Ziggler.
Oh wow, you went off early. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Dolph early, man. Like I said, it's not going to be in a particular order,
Hmm.
but Dolph is on that list for me. Dolph has definitely been one of the best mid carders of the last 20 years.
Hmm.
He's been the measuring stick for a lot of people. He's been like a utility guy. We
Mm.
can put him in the main event scene when we need somebody, and he'll do pretty solid. We could put him in the mid card, and he'll elevate people and elevate a title. You can't go wrong with Dolph. And if I'm not mistaken, he's what, second or third on the list for most intercontinental title reigns.
Hmm.
Like, he's up there.
He is.
So if that doesn't personify you as a great mid carder, I don't know what does.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you. Dolph is somewhere on my list as well. So I
It's
kind of
somewhere on
ranked
the
them.
list.
I kind of ranked them. Um, I'll be honest with you, man. I cheated.
You
I
cheated.
cheated.
How'd
I
you cheat?
have a confession.
Oh man,
I
Stevie in the
cheated.
confessional. Let's see.
Um, all 5 of mine are ties. I totally cheated
Because you couldn't pick a number one.
because I started trying to categorize them. A lot of these lists we do, I categorize because it
Mm-hmm.
makes it easier to then place them amongst the 5 of them. If I just do one as a specific type of that category or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So as I started categorizing them, I started finding more than one guy that matches that criteria or that type of guy.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, well, I'll make the 5th one a tie. all right, maybe the fourth one too. And I was like, but
And
I
then
really nailed down. And then yeah, and then it
they
just
all just ended up being a
got to the
tie.
point. They all ended up being a tie for different categories.
Okay,
Um, but it's cool. We're gonna have fun with it anyway.
let's see. Let's see what you got.
My first one, because you said Dolph first, I'll go with these two first. My first tie was Dolph Ziggler and Mr. Perfect
Okay.
because I've seen Dolph as like an all time great mid carder.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a mid card legend.
Yeah.
And I think about Mr. Perfect, and a lot of the reasons I like Dolph is a lot of the reasons I like Mr. Perfect. He never had to be the guy, but he could be the guy on any given night.
Like he didn't need the world title, but you knew he was that damn good.
Everyone knew he was world champion material.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of tie in that category. I mean, even Dolph when he first came in, his theme song was "I Am Perfection." He was like a modern day Mr. Perfect, you know. So they
And
just
not
mirror each other.
and not only that, he got out the grave being in the Spirit Squad.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
crawled himself out of that grave and became Dolph Ziggler. So I
With a
mean,
name like Dolph Ziggler, overcame the odds. You
mm-hmm.
know, tremendous.
You know what's funny? Mr. Perfect was actually on my list too, of like my short list of people. So I'm glad you got him out the way.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So my next one, it was tough because I had to narrow it down from people, but again, it's a guy who doesn't get enough credit for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a great mind in the business. He was a great mind when he was a talent. He could do whatever you needed him to do. He could go out there and wrestle the small guys. He could wrestle the big guys. He was never a world champion, but he was very great at what he did. He wasn't great at one thing. He was really, really good at a lot of things.
Mm.
So I'm going with a utility guy here. I got to go with somebody who we both hold near and dear to our heart, Lord Steven Regal, William Regal.
Oh no! How did I forget Regal?
I
I
look,
forgot Regal.
you forgot him. I didn't. So I'm gonna put him in there for the both of us. Regal makes that list of greatest mid carders for me.
Yes, yes,
And,
Regal.
and the man was great at a lot of things. You figure he could go in there and wrestle Big Show if you needed him to. He could go in there and wrestle Finley, Rey Mysterio, Triple H. That promo he cut on Triple H on Raw, I think it was like I want to say 03, 04,
Mm-hmm.
when Triple H was messing with Eugene.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah, yeah.
that cut to the core. That was like, damn. He was at Regal was an asshole, but
Mm-hmm. No, but I remember that promo.
he could switch it on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
He was
He could
a
do
he was a
comedy. He could be serious.
mm-hmm.
He could do
he,
anything he wanted to in there.
he was an asshole, but he was an asshole with honor.
And a mentor, like one of the mentor of all mentors.
Mm-hmm. I lump him in there with some of the greats like Dusty and everybody else. Like he just mentored so many people.
Yeah,
And like I said earlier, a great mind for the business. The dude is great in a managerial role. He's great in a talent aspect. Booking, I'm pretty sure he'd be pretty good at booking, and just a great leader for the locker room. Like he can rally the troops.
yeah, man. All right, that's a great choice. I can't believe I forgot Regal.
It's okay.
Oh
I didn't
man.
forget him, so I put him in there for both of us.
All right. Well, my next tie is an interesting one, but just two guys that I always felt were, man, these were the guys that were at the peak of their career, and everybody could see them as a future world champion, and they just never pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So this tie is Shelton Benjamin, the gold standard,
Yep.
and MVP.
You know what? I respect both of them. Like I respect both picks. I do. Um, and me personally, MVP is one of my favorites. So I agree with that. But I think a lot of people would exclude MVP from that list just because his time in WWE was not as long as, other people's.
I hear you.
But I do agree he should be on the list. Dude is great, but I feel like with the MVP thing, his time was just short, and a lot of people might exclude him off the list just for that.
Yeah, but I remember peak MVP.
Oh yeah, peak MVP was the man.
I remember Fred like purple and white Inferno match, long sleeve MVP
Mm-hmm.
with the long tunnel. I mean, he could go in there with anybody. You know, he was under the wing of Benoit. He was going up against Matt Hardy and them. He was
Mm-hmm.
holding it down in the mid
Oh
card
yeah.
division. He was absolutely polished. And
Yeah, he was the man.
unlike he didn't have the challenge that like Carlito had, where Carlito was perfect as well, but his gimmick didn't say world champion.
It didn't.
MVP kind of was MVP. I related to this. Everything you like about Carmelo Hayes was in MVP then,
Exactly.
which is why I love Carmelo Hayes so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was like that. It was like, man, he's got world champion written all over him. They just got to press the button, and it just didn't work out that way. And I'm sure everybody after that, the greatest super kick of all time
Mm-hmm.
was Shelton Benjamin. Everyone was like, this guy is a world champion. And he was big. He didn't have a size problem everyone else had.
Yeah, no, he was deceptively big. I think he was like what like 6'3", like I want to say like 230, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Deceptively big. He moved like a cruiserweight, but he was like deceptively big.
Yeah, yeah. And you didn't really realize until the guys started getting smaller. And then you
Mm-hmm.
started seeing Shelton compared to the guys we have now. You're like, oh my gosh, Shelton was huge. But I
Mm-hmm.
never realized he's always been a big dude.
And you know
Um,
what? I do respect that MVP pick a little bit more now that I think about it because he kind of had a similar situation to Dolph. Because remember how Dolph had to like fight out of that Spirit Squad phase?
yes,
MVP had a
yes,
fight in a sense too, but it wasn't so much like gimmick related or wrestling related. A lot of people don't realize the dude was locked up for 9 years.
he was. He
Yeah.
was.
And who got him in the business?
That's why I had the sleeves for so long.
New Jack of all people. Yeah, you didn't
I
know
missed
that?
that part of the story. New Jack
Oh
is why
yeah.
we have an MVP.
Yeah, New Jack got him a
Oh,
tryout.
man.
Yeah, MVP said it. New Jack got him a tryout with
Yo.
WWE, and after his
MVP
tryout with
is more
W,
gangster than we realize.
and after his tryout, him and New Jack were across the street drinking a beer.
Yo, MVP and Booker T though. They're
Yeah,
way more gangster than we give them credit for.
yeah. New Jack got him in WWE. A lot of people
Mm,
don't know that.
mm,
All right, so for my next pick, I'm taking an old school man,
got to.
and you know what? I'm crediting D the Toy Hunter with this because he just sent me a clip of this guy recently,
Hmm.
and it was a clip of after he retired, but he was still cutting a promo on Jericho.
Okay. Oh goodness.
And dude, it like cut at the core. And a lot of the younger fans probably don't know too much about this guy, but if you're an avid wrestling fan, like 80s,
Oh, you're
90s, you
about
know
to give
who.
me the pop, aren't you? This is gonna be a
Yeah.
great. This is gonna be a great
Mm-hmm.
one.
So this one's for all the old schoolers out there. Roddy Piper.
Oh, that people know Roddy Piper.
Look, if you talk to a 13-year-old wrestling fan today, they don't know Roddy Piper. They
You're
don't know
probably
Roddy
right. You're
Piper.
probably right. You're probably right. You're
If you
probably
talk to a 20-something-year-old wrestling fan, they know Roddy Piper. But the newer
you're probably
generation,
right.
like the kids who are like doing the Bailey hugs and all that stuff, they're into
Mm,
like Liv Morgan and Cora Jade and
mm-hmm.
Grayson Waller. They don't know who they don't know a Roddy Piper.
Mm,
So Roddy's getting the love. Roddy's on the list. Give me some Roddy, man. I love Roddy.
okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with people you don't love.
Okay.
Because my next pick is based off of two people that were hated so much because of what they were so good at doing,
Okay.
to a point where it pretty much annoyed everyone else that was around them.
Did it annoy
tied,
me?
tied at this pick is a guy synonymous with heat. Two guys synonymous with heat. The Heat tie. X-Pac and Enzo Amore.
Okay, I hate one of them.
Yeah, but the other guy is synonymous with heat. It's X-Pac
He
Heat.
he is. He is.
And Enzo was hated in that same vein. But they were both killer on the mic. And they're both very good at what they do. And say what you will, Enzo is one of the best guys on the mic. And peak Enzo, not 205 Enzo, but like peak Enzo, like maybe all the way up right until the breakup,
All right.
was just an amazing on fire Enzo More.
All
Screw
right.
what anybody says on the mic every week. Remember they cut a whole promo with him not having a microphone, and they did the entire intro. They were like, for a moment in time, they could have been Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, and Vince just didn't agree with it because Vince hates Triple H. And X Pac, of course, is X Pac.
Uh,
I mean, it
so
speaks for himself, man.
small rant, but a quick rant. I'll give you this. For me, Enzo has somewhat grown on me since he left WWE.
Mm,
WWE Enzo, I hated. Everybody knows I didn't like him. I thought he was a, I'll be honest, I thought he was a dick. Like
mm,
not even like a dick just as a character. I thought he was just a dick as a person.
mm.
Um, so after he left WWE and started doing what he was doing his thing on the indie scene, I feel like that's a better thing for him. Like he's somebody who doesn't necessarily need WWE.
No,
So
I didn't think he did in the first place.
so I'll give you the credit for the Enzo thing. Like I'm still not the hugest Enzo fan in the world, but I can respect Enzo and what he's done after WWE. I mean, he did his thing in WWE on the mic. He was one of the best. He was. But it was just like a character thing for me. But I do agree that he did do some great stuff and outside of WWE in a mid-card role, he's the man. I'll give him that.
All
So I
right.
can't I
Well,
can't be I can't be too mad with the Enzo pick.
all right.
I didn't rip into him too much, did I?
Hopefully not, because
No, no, I mean like personally. Do you think I did?
no, no,
Okay.
no,
Like I
no.
said, he's grown on me. He has.
We'll just lightly skip by that when we have him on the show.
Hey, hey, I'll be honest. I'll tell him. At first, I thought he was a dick, but now he's grown on me. I can admit when I was wrong.
Mm, he's great.
But
I've always been on your side, so I've always
yeah,
annoyingly so,
we all
annoyingly
have
so.
we all have our preferences. So
But
I mean
I love
that's
it.
what makes it perfect.
Listen, man, he was great.
So
He was great.
my next,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say my next one. I'm gonna go with what do we got? I did three, so my next one's gonna be four. So I'm gonna go with another old school guy, and this is from like the same era as Roddy,
Mm-hmm.
but this guy just put on phenomenal matches with whoever he was with. He put on phenomenal matches with a lot of the main guys and a lot of the lesser guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's another guy who doesn't get as much credit as he should for putting on some of the great things that or doing some of the great things that he did. His gear always looked phenomenal. He always great in the ring. So with that being said, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Mm, mm.
Another
That's
one for
true.
the another
That's
one for the
true.
old school people. I'm going Ricky Steamboat.
Ricky's a classic.
Gave Ric Flair one of his greatest matches of all time, arguably his greatest match of all time.
One of his best rivalries of all time, man.
Mm-hmm. Like Steamboat could do no wrong in the ring.
They were great, man. They were great. Those were the two like the first really great technical like masterpieces.
That's another thing too. He's a great technical wrestler that doesn't get enough credit for that too.
Mm-hmm.
He could do a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of everything. He could grapple. He could do some high flying spots. He was good with the submissions. Like Ricky Steamboat was the man.
He was amazing. He was amazing. He was ahead of
Killer
his
and
time.
killer entrance too.
Ahead of his time. Seriously.
I feel like if Steamboat was to come around 10 years later,
Mm.
20 years later, he could have probably been a world champion. He could have been a world champion back then, to be honest.
He could have been like at least a three-time IWGP heavyweight champion.
Oh yeah,
With that gimmick
Mm-hmm.
in
I,
Japan.
I, he could have
You
been a world
kidding?
champion WWE too.
Oh yeah. Oh
I feel
yeah.
like in any
Oh yeah.
promotion today, Steamboat would be a world
Because he
champion.
could still mix it up with the rest of them.
I feel
That's
like you.
that's true. That's true technical wrestling right there.
I feel like if you
They can
put
still match
Steamboat,
up today.
AEW, Impact, WWE, NXT, Japan,
Hmm.
AAA, wherever
He
you
could
put
fit
him
in
today,
anywhere.
he'd be a world champion in any
He
of
could
those
fit in
promotions.
anywhere. He was ahead of his time.
Definitely was.
All right. Well, the two men I'm about to mention are nowhere near as technical,
Okay.
but they were the monsters of their time.
Okay.
This ties between the two big men that often flank the Undertaker, Kane and the Big Show.
Oh. You caught me off guard a little bit there with the way you described it, the two big men that flanked the Undertaker. I thought you were talking about Viscera and Gangrel.
Oh no. The two
But you know what? I like that. I like
the
them
two
picks
that are
because
more synonymous.
Kane made my list, but Big
Hmm.
Show didn't, and I'm a little upset I left Big Show off the list. So
Because
I'm
that's who I
I'm
thought
glad you
of after I thought of Kane. I thought of Big Show. I was like, man, they both were not great world champions,
not
but
really.
they were always anytime you needed them
Mm-hmm.
to put anybody over. Show was always willing. Kane was always willing to do anything you needed him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Show was willing to turn heel or face 37 freaking times. You know what I mean? And we always reacted because it's Big Show. Like, come on, man. Even because it got tiring and then it got funny. And then it was like, come on, man. What are we doing, man?
And you know what? Not for nothing about Big Show. Certain times when you see wrestlers cry, it's like, aha, he's crying or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was about Big Show. Every time I seen that dude cry, I genuinely felt bad for him.
Mm.
I don't know what it was. Like I just felt bad for the dude. It was like, damn, that sucks. Like every time he cried, and he didn't cry much, but when he did cry, it was like, damn, I
Mm.
feel bad for the dude. Like when he what was it? The stuff when he was with the authority and he had to start knocking people out, and he
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I would feel bad then, and then
Yeah, I did too. I did too. I felt bad about it. I
what was
felt
the
bad.
other one? Fuck, there was one more that was I literally just had it in my head, but then the authority popped in my head. I forget, but it's gonna come back to me. But Big Show was just one of the people who was like, damn, I feel bad for the dude.
Yeah, no, he really sold it like he was going through it, man. He did.
Hmm.
He did. And they're just underrated. They're not talked about enough, man.
Yeah, they're not. They definitely deserve some credit.
Yeah. Not as world champions, but it's just fantastic mid-Carter big men. They were just great.
All right. So I'm gonna do my honorable mention right now. And you're gonna hate me for this, but it wouldn't be me if I didn't include this guy. He's been around for God, like forever. Never been a world champion. But for me, he's always been a good guy to have around because whatever match you put him in, he can go.
Hmm.
He had a main event run for a little bit, and I think personally when he had that short main event run, he did pretty damn good for being his first main event run in WWE. And when he turned heel, the one time he did turn heel, I thought he did really well.
Okay.
So, with that being said, longevity could do pretty much anything you need him to do in the ring, out the ring, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, R-Truth.
Oh, I don't hate you for that. That's actually a great pick.
I was gonna say it wouldn't be me if I didn't throw R-Truth in there.
It's actually a tremendous pick. It's a great
Because
pick.
every time I say R-Truth, you make a face at
The
me.
truth is a great mid. He's a tremendous mid carder.
Mm-hmm.
A tremendous mid carder.
Hall
Yeah.
of Fame worthy.
Mm.
We gotta have that discussion on the pod one day.
Mm. Mm.
We might need
You
to
got
have that.
me. You might have got me. You might have convinced me. That might have been the pitch. That might have been the pitch.
That might have been the pitch.
That might have been the pitch.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we
Yeah. Yeah.
even if we ignore the 827 24/7 title reigns,
No, 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 no. If you're pitching him as one of the greatest mid carders of all time, then we have to include that in the pitch. That's like inducting Crash Holly. And I will always induct Crash Holly into the Hall of Fame.
I mean, hey, if Johnny Rods can make it in as being a jobber to the stars, why can't R-Truth?
Mhm.
And
All
the dude's
right.
like, and the dude's like 50 and still wrestling.
Well, speaking of jobbers, my honorable mention, the jobber of all jobbers, another guy that would do anything you needed him to do. It was just great. Stevie Richards.
Oh, I like Stevie.
Everyone likes
Stevie
Stevie.
Richards was the man.
Stevie Richards was the man.
Yeah, Stevie Richards was the man.
Whether it was the BWO, the Job Squad, Right to Censor, or being Victoria's weird boyfriend when they were doing their whole I don't even know what to call it. It was like they were like a meth couple or something. It was
It was
they
re-
both had this thing with eyes and they were just freaking weird, man. But I loved it. He loved it. Like I just love Stevie Richards, man.
dude,
He
that
can
might
do
need to be
anything.
another topic.
He can do anything. Like Stevie's just he's great, man. He's
Because
great.
you just mentioned him and Victoria. That might need to be another topic one day. Odd pairings that worked.
Oh, because they freaking worked. Oh, I could yeah, we'll save it because I can already rattle off some of
Mm-hmm.
these odd couples that were like
I yeah,
these
because
were amazing.
you said Stevie and Victoria, and one just popped into my head. I'm like, nope, I like them
We
better
gotta
than
do another
Stevie.
one. We gotta do another
Mm-hmm.
one. All right, so give me your number one.
See, I'm scared to do my number one because I think you might have this person.
It's okay. If it turns out that you have one, I'll say the other. That way at least I'll have one definitive person.
All right. So I'm not even, you know what? I'm just gonna say it and let the resume speak for itself and let the name speak for itself.
Mhm.
Miz.
Perfect. Yeah,
Miz. Like when you think of mid Carters, Miz has been the guy for what, 10 years now plus?
forever.
The dude went
Forever.
11 straight years without an injury, carrying the mid card, carrying the IC title. When he turned heel and got the WWE title, that was the bomb.
Hmm. Hmm.
Arguably one of the best cash ins, right up there, like top three. Um, I think he's the only two-time Money in the Bank winner, if I'm not mistaken. No, Punk.
Carmelo.
Well, we're not counting Carmella. Carmella won it once. She ain't win it
She won
twice.
it twice. She won it twice. She won it twice.
She won the damn thing. You know, we're not having
She
this
won it
discussion.
twice.
Don't don't trigger me on the podcast. We're not
We don't
doing
like to
this.
talk about it, but Carmelo's been pretty successful. Um,
But the resume speaks for itself. Most IC title reigns, you know, double money in the bank winner. And then also one of the best hit songs ever with John Morrison.
no,
Yeah, man. You didn't vibe with the Bunny song? I
no,
did. It was a good song.
no.
You hop a little, we hop a lot.
Stop.
All right, let me not. Let me not. No, but Miz makes the list just by default on GP.
Mm.
Get a man his flowers, give him a crown, put him in a hall, do whatever you got to do.
Interesting enough, my tie has the Miz,
Okay.
and they are of the same vein, so much so that I've often referred to Miz as this generation's Chris Jericho.
Man, see,
I tied him with Chris Jericho. And listen, you might think Jericho is more of a main eventer. He's not. He's not. He's just not. He's not. He can be, but he's not. He's not. He's mostly a mid Carter. I mean, really think about it. He
yeah.
has the most Intercontinental Championship wins, which I would hope the guy I tied him with, the Miz, will one day break that record. I find it odd they haven't had him break it already, seeing as how Vince likes to chip away at people he doesn't like stats. But yeah, uh, Jericho was a great mid Carter even back in WCW. And he just always found a way to make it work. When you needed to pull him up, you could always pull Jericho up, but he almost never felt like he was of the same league as his colleagues. Jericho has found an amazing way to never seem like he has the upper hand when it really counts. Like against the big dogs, somehow Jericho's been able to stand in the ring with all of the greats and never seem like he deserved to be there. With Sean, it you were gone with Sean. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he's never been in a situation where it was like clearly Jericho's gonna win. And
Okay.
to me, while that's amazing, it also screams mid Carter because Jericho, even when Jericho was feuding with Cena, you never really took Jericho seriously. That's why he ended up getting fired at the end of it. Somehow Jericho was able to be the first undisputed world heavyweight champion, and at the same time
Be a mid card.
be a mid Carter because no one expects you to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. No matter how many times you tell us you did it, we never expect you to win against those type of guys. Which is why you're
Ooh,
the most efficient mid Carter in the world, probably of all time, definitely.
dude.
So it's
Not.
him and the Miz. It's him Miz. See, this is the thing because between I had my number two was Chris and Miz.
I'm
My
gonna write
number
that down.
one was Dolphin Perfect. So I think between the four of them, it's so interchangeable the impact they've had on the mid card division.
I'm just writing something down before I forget it. Because you you
This
you you just gave me a fantasy book and idea for somebody who needs it badly.
we have to do those episodes too, just to end this. We have to do those episodes too. We have to like pick at something to fantasy book, and then we'll book it for 3 months, and then we'll get on here and we'll fight over how we booked, and the people will get to
Mm-hmm.
choose who won the booking decision. We'll cook it up
Yeah.
all nice and shit. But yeah, this was that was my number one.
I
As
I
it fell
respect
in
that.
there.
I respect that whole list. I'm glad that you threw in. I like the way you did it with the tiebreakers between people and you kind of like compared them.
Yeah.
I respect that. So, guys, that is our top five. For Stevie, it was 10 with ties, but our top five greatest mid carders. Be sure to comment on the video, on the pod. Let us know what you guys thought of our list. So let us know who you would have put on the list, who you would have took off the list. And make sure you check this out on all platforms. You know where to find us. You can find us on YouTube at the Dangerous Jobbers Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music. Check out the Dangerous Jobbers website.com, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys stay up. Make sure you guys stay blessed. And as always, stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous.
No.